Welcome and thank you for listening to another episode of the Hangry Mexican. This is, I think, a good get and a good episode today. It features a YouTube sensation, Rebecca Brand. I sat down with her and had a chat with her, and this was more than I could have asked for. We show up, Claire and I show up to her lovely home, and she has what I like to describe it as a cowboy lunch. Bacon with onions and some red meat there, some beef that's been grilled and cooked, and chicken that is so juicy and tender, baked potato, salad, some bread, and of course dessert. It was amazing, and it was something to die for. It was so hard to concentrate, but she is an amazing person, amazing woman, and she's accomplished so much. She has 3 lovely kids, and through it all, she's had a successful career with, or in the digital space rather, with YouTube. And she's dabbled on TV, entertainment, TV broadcast, but she is doing fantastic in the digital space. And that's why I really wanted to talk to her to see how she does what she does, because a lot of people want to get into digital. They want to do podcasts. They want to do create their own YouTube channel. And the challenge there is, how do you monetize this? How do you make money out of a Facebook watch show or a YouTube channel? Well, Rebecca Brand is doing it, and she has very interesting things to say about what she does and about life in general. Now, the one thing I have to note here is that this episode in particular talks a little bit more about me than previous episodes. Rebecca and I were having a conversation. We're outdoors. You might hear some birds. You might hear the outdoor sounds, chirping and buzzing and great stuff. But at one point during the conversation, she asks me personal questions that I was more than happy to answer. And you'll hear those responses about my past in the start of my career and whatnot. And I do talk a little bit more about me in this podcast episode than in previous episodes. So that's what happened. And I thought I would leave it there. At first I was contemplating about maybe cutting it out because it was just a little bit too much about me rather than the guest. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to leave it on, or I'm going to leave it in there, because in real life, during the conversation, the conversation can take an unexpected turn. You're talking about one person and about something in one moment, and the next, you start talking about yourself when you're asked a question. So anyway, let's get started. So DJ, roll that music. You're a YouTube star. You're a YouTube sensation.
Do you even know my name? You didn't even say my name, Oscar.
Oh, well, that's going to be in the intro and the outro. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm always directing.
Yeah. No, yeah. I record an intro, and then I give the name. I do everything.
I just want to make sure I get proper billing here.
Oh yeah.
And you can edit this in. This is a comedy of it all. This is the behind the scenes. This is what happens. Exactly.
Well, and thank you for treating us to this amazing lunch. We got a potato here, baked potato, chicken. Is this tri-tip or what is this?
Okay, Oscar. I know you are big on the grill.
Yeah.
So I wanted to cook for you a tri-tip with a method. that maybe you've never done before. So I want you to take a bite. I know your mouth right now is full of mashed potato and a lot of butter. But if you could take a bite of that, go from the center. I want the best one here. Go to the pink part. And
all right, there we go. Oh, it's totally fine. The microphones are good. It won't really...
Okay, we have a weed eater because it's weed whacking time here in beautiful Santa Barbara, California, with all the beautiful rains we had. Those weeds are, waist high at this point. And they're using those weed whackers. Okay, so try that.
Right,
he's cutting a piece. He's now putting it in his mouth. And I want him to try it. That looks like a tiny little bite. Did you really get much there, Oscar?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Okay.
That's flavorful.
So tell me what you think the cut of the meat is.
Tenderloin?
Okay. This is working. So guess what that is. And this is my recipe. And this is what I want to share with everybody listening. Oh my gosh. You can make what tastes like filet mignon. Mm-hmm. This is a tri-tip. And then, so the method is this: 125 degrees with a sous vide stick. Do you know what a sous vide stick is?
No, I do not.
Okay. It is a long stick. It looks like half of a baseball bat that plugs into the wall. And you get to set the temperature and set the time. This has been cooking for 24 hours at 125.5 degrees, which is perfectly medium rare. But then... So then you cook it for 1 day, 2 days, 4 days. Then, Oscar, I follow your lead on grilling it fast to get a sear on the edge so you have the crunch because you have the rub on it. And you do all this rub. And so I'm so excited you said that. No, okay, now he's got about a chicken in his mouth. Tell me about the chicken.
It's so flavorful too, and I think it's marinated in some type of barbecue sauce. Is it, or is it just? I mean, it tastes really good, and it's super juicy. That's the thing. I love super juicy meats, and both the red and the chicken are juicy and delicious.
So the red part of the beef, we got the medium rare, and you got the chicken. Okay, hello. Guess what happened? I put that chicken in a big old giant Ziploc baggie with, 3 tablespoons of salt. And in with that meat, it went. And so it came out medium rare, but I wanted to have the barbecue flavor. So then I threw it back on the grill when I'm doing the grill and did the same thing, sear it with barbecue sauce, because then it's not going to flame up and have, and this is boneless. Hey, this is boneless, fatless, skinless chicken breast. Yeah. As healthy as it comes. Claire, we have Claire on the sidelines here. What do you think of the chicken?
Delicious.
Okay. I'm just, the sous vide is my next favorite. Well, it's my favorite kitchen tool right now, the sous vide stick. And it's so easy to use. And you think, what is this thing? I've never seen anything like this. But one of my girlfriends, Catherine Mayer, showed me how to use it when she did a lobster with it. Anyways, and the thing is, then you can have it and you're having a dinner party in the last 15 minutes. All you need is a sear. And you don't have to babysit your meat. And the flavor's infused with the grill that you could put wood chips. But I didn't. There's no wood chips. That's just gas.
Well, you're one of the best cooks that I know. So did this start at a young age, or was this just something you picked up later in life where you just decided to start cooking? I mean, where did that culinary... awesomeness come
from being hangry? As a 7-year-old, my mother worked. She was gone. My parents were divorced. I was alone in a house with a Betty Crocker children's cookbook that I could read, and I trial and error. I would just follow the recipes. There was no YouTubes now, and this is one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel, because I thought for those kids at home, like I was, they could watch a YouTube and I could show them how. So you know that traditional recipe, this is the pigs in blanket. It's the hot dog, and then you put some dough on it. Well, we always had cheap hot dogs in the fridge, and we always had some flour, and I could muscle up some baking soda. We had that kind of stuff. And so I would make those, but I didn't realize that to get the dough smooth, just add more flour. So I would have these chicken and blankets, the hot dog, pigs and blankets, and then the dough would be like stars coming off because my hands are so sticky. It would make spikes everywhere, but it still worked. And so, you trialed and errored it, and sometimes it didn't work out. Sometimes you burnt it. Sometimes the bacon caught on fire. But at 7 years old, I was like, I had to. I had older brothers. They were off. And I was just, you had to take care of yourself, and my mother had to work. And so she would come home, and I sometimes would make like grilled cheese sandwiches for dinners, very simple stuff. And she was always thrilled because it was one less thing she had to do after working hard to raise her kids. It's tough. But isn't this the life of America now? Either the dad's doing it, the dad's a single dad, or he has a custody, he's got to take care of the kids, or the mom is doing it. And so from that background is where I was just passionate, because you got so much out of cooking. You got to eat it. What a fun activity to have.
Yeah. And everybody that asks me, about this podcast, I always tell them, well, I think that the best conversations come over a meal, especially a delicious meal such as this. And you're definitely big on food, and that's where the YouTube channel came in. But then, I know you branched out into other things as well, but it all started with the love for cooking. So maybe let's talk a little bit about the podcast first and how all that started. So
tell me.
So YouTube launched. There's now there's a platform on the digital space that everybody can take advantage of. Not everybody knows how to monetize it, but you've been able to monetize your content. You've been able to get all these great subscribers. It's been a really successful podcast. So just take me to the beginning.
You mean YouTube? You could say podcast.
YouTube. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, it's been a very, very successful YouTube channel, and the reason. But you know what? Everybody always has the secrets of why it was successful to them or what it was. And do we ever really know? I don't know. But I kind of think maybe something that had to do with it was the time I started, you needed to have a film production crew. Nobody had the iPhone cameras. And so it was limited, and especially cooking. Cooking had a lot of edits because you're just not going to sit around and look at the oven while the cake bakes. A lot of different parts to a recipe happen that you have to cut and edit to get to the finished recipe. So cooking a recipe could take a long time. So therefore, if you have other cameras on you and you're using a film crew, because that's what I was doing at the time, it's expensive and it takes a long time. But I was passionate about cooking, and I wanted to teach cooking because I taught cooking in after-school classes at Santa Barbara Public Schools because my children were there, and it was a way for me to be involved with them more at their school and to know the other moms and the other kids in their class. And so I taught cooking for 5-year-olds all the way to 12-year-olds 3 or 4 days a week. And I would I would go to the stores and get chicken when it was on sale for 69 cents, and I'd throw all my spices on a table. I'd go for it, kids. They would rub the spices, take it home for a chicken take and bake, and then the parents would say, my 5-year-old was a star. And I made them open that bag from the grocery counter with scissors, 5-year-old scissors. You got to take that chicken out. You got to grab the guts out because that's going to feed Kitty. So we had this big bowl for Kitty with all the guts. And the kids that go, oh no, I can't do that. I go, no problem, because there's the other kids in line that want to go first. So you can watch it and learn it. And then by the time, no, I want to do it now, And this is how it started. The joy of teaching children, which was the native audience on YouTube at the time, were very young. We're talking 11 to 21 because it was a new platform. So I came in and had the real reason I got on YouTube, because I really had a TV show called Dinner Party Art Class. I love food like you're doing on your podcast so much because Oscar, by feeding people, you can relax, you can talk about anything, and you get to try the food, and the conversation goes, oh, wait a second, my mouth is burning, Rebecca, what the heck did you put in that? You have a place to lunch. So that's how it started. The Dinner Party Art Class, I tried to sell it. I went around the world to MIPCon, all these conferences. That darn thing didn't sell. That was supposed to get me $1 million. I was lucky enough to have the Berry Man as one of my sponsors. Bill Foley of his wineries were a sponsor, and Jerry's Artorama were a sponsor. And I threw a lot of my own money in it. I go into a conference and some YouTuber manager says, Rebecca, we want to you should do a cooking channel, Eat American Cook. And I said, well, you're going to pay me? He goes, no, I'm paying you, but you can create a channel like that. I go, what? He goes, well, what are your editors going to do while you're waiting around for your show to sell, which may not sell, and it never did. So therefore, I said, okay. And we would do 9 recipes a day. I had 5 editors working for me at the time. And that's how I launched it. I did 40, 50 recipes almost immediately. We jumped on, got me on the YouTube algorithm. And then I think we spammed the world for viewership. Hey, watch my channel, watch my new video. In the days you could do that, you can't do that anymore. But there's 32 ways on the algorithm to get on the YouTube algorithm. They'll push out your videos for free. So I've been able to manage to stay there. And so now I have almost 30 million views, 117,000 subscribers, and almost 1,000 videos. And it's been 5-6 years. I am just so grateful for that platform. It's just made my careers. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and that's amazing that something like that worked out way better than on TV.
Forget TV. And TV's, changing now. So.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are cutting the cord. They're doing more of the live streaming services, and part of that live streaming service, of course, is YouTube. So it's amazing everything that you've accomplished through YouTube. And did you know about the YouTube algorithm and all these nuances about doing digital work before you jumped into it, or did you just kind of started cold turkey, just dived in right in?
Someone I met at a conference, he was from India, high tender, came to me and just said, just do this and that. Along the way, I learned about it. But he told me the most important critical things, and I did them. Didn't realize, because it's about the algorithm. And now best practices. And you can find all of that out on YouTube. You can watch all that to learn all that. There's all kinds of articles. In fact, I'm going to be doing an article now for our Santa Barbara News Press.
Oh.
Do you know that?
No, let's talk about that.
You're not following my Facebook tight enough there, Oscar.
I saw like an announcement. I saw that photo. But I didn't see
I've got a big announcement.
Well, let's talk about it.
So I don't know if you know this, but I am the #1 hired YouTube influencer in the entire world. By far, is what I was told 1 month ago when they asked me in for a private meeting at the hangar in Los Angeles. It's a Howard Hughes Spruce Goose hangar, the most expensive facility that YouTube's ever put together. And they sat me down and they told me that. And I'm thinking, that's just because I have a cheap price, I guess. I don't charge my customers too much, but that was such an honor to have that. And from that business of all of those, 500 clients I've had so far, and this week was, mattress, all kinds of stuff. I do everything from mattresses to cooking gadgets to beauty products to fashion to sporting equipment to all kinds of stuff. I do everything because it all starts at home, and my home is my kitchen. And that launched me into a complete lifestyle, including travel, which has been, I can't even believe it. It's so fun. Anyways. So when they told me that, I have for 1 year been telling clients, hey, I just did this YouTube video and we used your pressure cooker. And if you want me to, you have an Amazon page, pay me a little extra or a lot, and let's cut that down into another video for your Amazon page. It's a gold mine. There's a billion people on Amazon that need these videos because if by having a video, they're higher on the Amazon pages. They rank higher. They get more views. They get more sales. Amazon puts them up. So everybody's competing in that space too. So I started a company called AmazonSalesVideos.com. And so that's even more money than my YouTube channel, which is really good. Because as we know, in TV and media, it's really tough. It can be to make a living. We do it from passion. Everything, the news, if you are creating media, you're doing it because you love it. It's not about the money. It's because you love it. Right, Oscar?
Yes. Amen to that.
Yeah.
And that's actually where I was going to in my next point because...
So anyway, News Press said, hey, you want to do an article? I said, yes, because right. I want to do the article because... One thing about digital entrepreneurship is getting placed on Google. So the News Press is kind enough to let me do the article, which is going to be called Digital Entrepreneurship. It's a business article.
It sounds like a class at a college.
Well, It's aimed at people that want to get one extra job in life. They want to make extra money. How do you do it in your spare time, and what do you do? And so that's going to be the focus, to share and explore and find out. So I'm going to, and I'm going to do research on this to know more than I know what is the best and fastest way to grow a business yourself this way, because that Amazon business is even bigger than my YouTube business now, which is so exciting. So I'm going to do this article, and that way they're wonderful at the News Press, Santa Barbara News Press. They're going to help me get onto the Google rankings so that that business will be marketed with that one. That'll be one of the ways it's marketed. And it's just a joy to be able to share what I know and write it up. And it's fun. It's fun when you can have an effect, when you can do a good job, and it turns into good things. So that's what, anyways, go ahead.
No, that's excellent. And, that's amazing. Yeah, you started out from one thing, and then did you ever think that it was going to blow up into this big, huge success that you're enjoying now?
So, when I was 10, I was selling mistletoe during Christmas time at the grocery stores, wrapped up in red ribbon and put in little plastic baggies for 25 cents. When you're an entrepreneur, you go through but you go through tons and tons of ideas. Some worked. Before Starbucks, my idea was to sell coffee to people going to work in the morning, and I put myself on the Marina del Freeway on-ramp, 92 freeway, and I had 100 cups of coffee, and I thought for $1 each, and my little baggies I prepared with sugar and stirs and cream, that I would sell out in a matter of an hour. And I was sitting there with gloves on and my hair pulled back and an apron, and I was in my 20s because I knew that was going to be a big idea. One day, I sold 2 cups, and I spent $100 of that idea, and I go, they're not ready for me yet. And so that was the end of that company. But I have done a ton of companies. When you start, and most of them unsuccessful, and when you do a ton of companies, what's happening is you're going down the corridor of opportunity, and another idea will hit you, and you'll do in your head a feasibility study. Well, and you'll scratch it out on a napkin, and you might do some of it. But the deal is, get done with your feasibility study. However you do it, you don't need a business plan to get to the wrong idea. That's too much time. Yeah. I won an international competition when I was getting my MBA at UCLA. First runner-up, I made all the papers. I made Wall Street Journal. I made a place for Anderson Graduate School of Management for my business plan called Wine Exporting Service, which I actually started the company. But things happened, and it was just a shipping company, and things changed, and it was no longer viable. I did it for a year or two, like, forget it. Then you throw it away. But you've always been percolating something else, because entrepreneurs, I think, are just come out of the hopper a little different. There's things that bubble up. But the thing is, a lot of us we're working for a company. We have a full-time job that pays us well. So now it's time to do digital entrepreneurship, because you can do it in your spare time. Your podcast. You tell us, where did this idea come from, Oscar? Can I interview you? Is that okay?
Oh, yes, definitely. Oh, boy. I have not stopped eating this delicious food. It's bite after bite.
I'm going to take my turn now while you talk.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the idea of the podcast, because I've always liked radio, and the podcast gives you the ability to receive it whenever, however you want it, and listen to it whenever you want. Now, my commute from Oxnard to Los Angeles for work it involves a lot of podcast listening. So I've become a huge
connoisseur of podcasts.
Exactly. I listen just to just a lot of podcasts on my drive to work, and then home too. And I realized one thing, that a lot of these podcasts that I was listening to, they interview big name celebrities, or they get too political. And all I wanted to do was just listen to a podcast that talked to people that have done just amazing things, that are, they weren't born into that world. You've managed to accomplish something that anybody can accomplish if they put dedication and hard work into it, and you don't necessarily have to have rich parents to do so.
Right.
And on top of that, I've always been a believer that the best conversations come out of over a meal. Of course, sometimes.
And you like to cook.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
Do they always cook for you, or do you cook for them sometimes?
Well, it's 50-50.
Don't let this out, Rebecca. I'd rather go and have them cook.
Yeah. No. Well, I love grilling. One of the things that I do to just kind of get away from the digital world, because I'm exposed to digital. It's part of my job, and it's 5 days a week. And I know this podcast is digital too, but it's a labor of love too, because I'm doing it on my own time, and I'm doing the podcast that I want to do. I've had 2 other podcasts that have not.
What were those subjects?
Well, there were news. They were news,
uh-huh.
yeah, and it's definitely something that I know how to do. Having worked in news now for about 11 years or so, and now I'm so in tune with the news world that I kind of just want to get away from it during my spare time and just talk about other things that are not really newsy, if you will. So I would love
lighter, like things that just normal conversation. Or what? Because it seems like that's the food and the social aspect of it. It might bring in other kinds of conversations than a serious one.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's sometimes a lot of interviews that I see on TV, for example, and in podcasts too, of course, they always involve questions that are always seem to be pre-selected about that person. But what about the other stuff? What about the how did you end up to where you are now? Because there must have been an upbringing, and in your case, now you've told us that at a very young age you've had to look after yourself, and so that's where the cooking came in, and then those skills then led now to a YouTube channel and to bigger and better things, and you actually mentioned earlier that you had a TV show, and I do remember catching it on TV.
Because it was on KUIT.
Yeah, and I'm surprised it wasn't
bigger.
Bigger than what it was. Because it was
like an original reality show.
Yes,
it was really authentic reality, and just everything. I would go to this conference. I go, we want format. There's too much going on. You're cooking. You got the singles thing going on, Rebecca. Then you got oil painting in the garage, and then you got side trips. There's travel. Like, what is this show? It's like, oh my gosh.
Well,
it's real.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about the podcast that I love, especially the one I'm doing, where everything is just. It can be all over the place, and that's okay, because that's life. It can be as crazy or as complex or as very straight as you want it to be. I don't really follow a formula, so that's why it's so unscripted. If there's
some authenticity to that, because the conversation goes back real. You can't script the lines. You never know what somebody's going to say.
Exactly. Yeah, and whether we get a plane or some chainsaw somewhere or any of other crazy noises out. I've shot interviews at hotels that have the AC on, and I mean, and there's this concept, this old school.
Oh yeah, and bread crunching because you're eating. You're not supposed to talk with your mouth full.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's just the old school way of thinking is, you got to have the cleanest audio and you got to do this, and I'm thinking, no, let's just. What happens if we just throw all that stuff out the window and just actually sit down and record what actually is happening in present time right now? And
you're going to get feedback, and people are going to say. It drives me nuts to hear that chick with her grating noise on that mic, chewing her food, swallowing it, the thing's clanking. But the deal is they care enough to say the comment.
Yep, exactly.
And that's engagement. And that's why YouTube has taken off. People aren't telling me, oh, she's so perfect, Martha Stewart, we love you so much. Sometimes I say we love you, but they like the fact that it's real. YouTube is all about authenticity, is about what's going on. And with a podcast, the digital media is that. People don't want fake. They don't want fake.
Exactly.
Yeah. You never told me what you were going to ask me today. You didn't set me up. We just came in, and I said, I was so excited because I hope you like the recipes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this and that's part of. I mean, I can give you a general idea of what we're going to talk about, but yeah, I never ask I never know what the questions are going to be because you just never know. It's just wherever the conversation takes you. It can get personal or it cannot. It can be lighthearted. You don't know until you sit down and talk to the person. And I always have been a believer that if you sit down with a person, even if you don't agree with that person, if you just sit down and talk, and maybe you'll find some common ground, but at least, or maybe you won't. I don't know.
Would there be subjects, Oscar, that you would pick a fight with somebody, even if they were your guest? Over taco? Like, I like mine soft. I don't know what you like. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Just because I've always liked listening to people and see their point of view. It just gives me a better perspective in life because I know that I mean, every single human being has their own opinions about something. That's why you see all these comments on social media. It's just everybody has an opinion about something. So I'm not the only one that thinks a certain way, and everybody's different. So I just want to know what makes somebody tick. What makes that person who that person is. And so I don't think I'll ever pick a fight over somebody that has their own opinions. I may disagree with them, and if it's big enough, I might just tell them.
Would you disagree on air?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, because it's if it does come to that point, one, I think that they probably really piss me off. Or the other thing is I'm probably hangry because at that point, usually
your blood sugar is low, man.
I know, yeah. And Claire has been my witness on some of those times when we be out and be all smiles and happy go lucky, and then all of a sudden, hours passed and now I'm hungry and I kind of shut down.
I don't get some food. It's not going to be pretty.
And it can't be just like, here, take a protein bar, tide you over. Like, it has to be a real meal.
Thank you. I don't like those protein. I'm sorry. They're my sponsors. But I don't. Okay, shush. Okay.
Yeah, they're good for some things. But yeah, I definitely love a full meal of something. That always makes me feel better. It's just and I can eat almost anything. I'm still training my tongue into all these treating it to all these culinary experiences. But I've been getting into.
So you went to a Mexican food theme. Was it about? Because I didn't know if I should be serving you a Mexican thing.
No. Well, no. I didn't think it was gonna be this good. This is like a cowboy lunch to me.
Well, I mean, because it's called the Hangry Mexican.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your title. Because
Sure.
I didn't know if I needed to do something in that theme, and the food was part of it. Sorry, but I didn't know if I should be. I did a couple of pasilla chilies and stuff with Monterey Jack.
Well, the idea of the podcast. I mean, there's so much to it, but one of the ideas to the podcast under that title is that I never let it get to that point. So it's called the Hangry Mexican, but it's rare.
You get
at least
angry
I hope
and
so.
start speaking Spanish.
Oh, actually,
Ándale, comida,
it's so funny you mentioned that because Spanish is my first language, and I learned English at a very young age in school, but. It's so interesting that just the other day I woke up and Claire, my wife, she was in the room and I just spoke. I woke up speaking Spanish out of nowhere. I was half asleep and I don't know why I did this, but Claire's the witness. She was fully awake. She was just getting ready for work.
His face is red right now. He's blushing.
I understood what he was saying, too.
Yep, that was great. Yeah, she understood exactly what I was saying. I don't remember what I said. I just knew it sounded. I thought I was dreaming because I woke up and then I asked her, "Hey, did I wake up speaking Spanish?" She says, "Yes."
That's awesome. That's awesome. Natural.
But yeah. So going back to the whole media creation thing and you becoming one of the most successful content creators out there in the digital space. How
Being hired. I'm not the biggest channel or the biggest views, but I'm the most hired in all the world. which is bizarre to me. I think it's because I do proposals all the time, which is what you have to do. Lots of digital advertising agencies. So if I'm doing nothing, if TV's on the background, I'll just sit there and write a proposal for the next the next appliance or the next product or the next thing and click. Because I'm out there knocking on doors. I'm a background in marketing and advertising. And so knocking on doors, somebody's going to say yes.
Well, and a lot of the items that you get are amazing. They're awesome. They're great. But
How'd you like that air fryer?
I loved it.
I don't think Claire liked it as much as you did.
It was great to make fries.
Yeah, the French fries were awesome.
Oh, good.
Delicious. But I mean, I know all the items are great, but is there an item that you really particularly liked from all the items that you've had to review?
It's the sous vide. And it's like that steak is like a filet mignon. That's the one that knocks out of the park. And most families aren't going to do it because it's a weird French name. It's a stick in a pot of water. It's misunderstood, but it is like Claire and I, when you walked into the house today, we're talking about crock-pot dinners, which is fabulous. It's another thing about the slow cooking. The sous vide will never overcook because you set the temperature. It'll always be good for days. Or sometimes I can't take the thing out. I don't need the tri-tip for 3 days. And then it's like butter. It's amazing. If it's fork tender. So that's why I just think it gives the modern cook, the modern household, dads, moms, the flexibility of, okay, the kid's not home from basketball practice yet, and we got it. Hey, man, that thing's going to be ready when I want to serve dinner. You do the rest of your dinner, whatever, salad, and that you can even do vegetables in the thing. The thing is, that's why. That is my very, very favorite. Of all the products I've ever placed, it truly is a sous vide. And I've done the air fryer. I've got a viral videos at 400,000 on that thing I brought you, and that recipe I brought you, the how to make Kentucky Fried Chicken with an air fryer. And it's great, but the sous vide, you could have a pot the size of you could use an ice chest. You could have 30 pieces of steak in there, 30 huge roasts of steak, and one little stick is going to do it. And after, for a party, I mean, it's one steak, one roast, or 50. And that stick plugged into a wall is going to get you to the best tasting, most tender, perfectly cooked. It's medium rare. From center to edge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's it. I haven't stopped munching on the.
That's why I gave you a lot. But anyways, yeah. So I know it's boring because they already covered that. But I've gotten a bunch of mattresses. I've got a viral video how to make a bed, and I use Casper mattress. So, it's. Oh, guess what I'm selling more of on Amazon than anything in the world, because I also have links to my Amazon page. I make a little money. You'll never guess.
Dryer
will you?
balls.
Oh, dryer balls.
No. Is it? It's not the dryer balls. The ice cream machine.
No, but you're walking home. You're an instant winner.
No.
You're taking home the ice cream. We have it all ready for you. I did this crazy video on my way to do a show with Arthur von Wiesenberger, a travel show on Halloween. So I dressed up like a 60s chick to do the show. And I had a horrible gopher problem, and I said, and the editors were there. We had the cameras, so I showed people how I'm going to set my gopher trap, and I set it right there on camera in the moment. So it's a gopher trap. Also, I then thought, this is useful, and I'm going to show people how to set the rat trap with the very best bait and the very best trap, because I have a property that's in nature, and I get them in my house. I get them in my stove. I get them in my bedroom. These rats, who knows how they get in? I don't know. But in any case, so I need to set rat traps everywhere. So I went underneath my house with my cameras. And that day was not dressed like that. I was dressed in yellow, but it was pretty. And I had my yellow gloves on. And I show how with hazelnut and a broken pecan in little pieces, you set one of those clamping things. They're those black things, and they're like $3 each, $5 each. And I show how to set it. And it's the very best bait for a trap like that forever. But YouTube says, I said how to kill rats. And they wouldn't allow me to have that on my channel because I used the word kill. Oh my gosh. So then I had to change the title and change all the keywords, how to trap rats, what's the best bait, and change up the video so that I could get it on you. It was like, oh my goodness. So anyways, so I sell more rat traps and gopher traps on Amazon than anything. And I make 20 cents on each.
That's awesome.
So it's a digital entrepreneurship. I'll show you all how to make 20 cents.
How did you end up getting into the travel show that you're doing? How did that come about?
I have to, hats off to Arthur. I think I was a guest or something along the way, and I was a guest a few times, and he knew about the YouTube channel, and he'd seen my stuff on Facebook because it's everywhere. And it was just so nice of him to have me a guest, and then on the food show and the travel show. And then he said, hey, why don't you take a show? I got to go out of town and travel. And then I did, and I produced it. I mean, I got all the people to be the guest, and they all brought their pictures and all my friends. And I just can't be more privileged. Arthur's had that show for 20 years. He's produced over 2,000 episodes. It's an award-winning 30-minute show that he produces right out here at Santa Barbara. And then, so when I go away, I'll take a bunch of iPhone movies and do an iPhone movie on the plane back. And there's my trip to Aspen, all the Aspen parties. Or there's my trip to San Francisco. Or there's my trip to Carmel. And I'll put together an iPhone movie. And we air it 3 minutes or something on the show, 7 minutes. And he's just Arthur. I can't say enough great things about Arthur von Wiesenberger, and that he shared his knowledge. He's really good. He's a producer. He's been a producer forever. He's incredible. And he uses YTS. Will Conlon does a lot of his editing now too. And it's just, we are lucky, Santa Barbara. We have so many it's a great, wonderful, loving community that shares resources and gives to each other. And now I know you guys are spreading your wings. You're a little bit bigger, so I'm going to be so excited to go visit you back in LA. And so thrilled for your future together. If there's a baby coming, I want to know firsthand.
Well, in 3 days, we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary of being married. 3 days. In
3 days. So that's April 4th?
Yep. Yeah, and you were there at the wedding, right? I
was there at the wedding, dancing my tail off in celebration with the both of you of how exciting that day was.
Yeah, it's such, it's right when people tell you at a wedding and you're the bride and groom, it's just a blur because you're doing so much. So I want to hear from you.
The biggest party of your life.
Exactly. So I want to hear from you. What was your best experience, the best thing about the wedding that you attended of Claire, myself?
It was it was actually talking to Claire's mother. That's the moment I'm going to cry.
It's all right.
That were the most meaningful to me. I mean, of course, both of you beautiful walking down the aisle. I love the mermaid theme, the blue and the beautiful dresses and the beautiful colors, and mermaid abounded. It's just kind of like, we've only just begun, and all of our hopes and dreams and I know you guys are big into Disneyland, and all of that are, life is the happiest day on the planet as we embark on our future. So, oh my gosh. Yeah.
So what did your mom say?
We were talking about Claire and her future with you, and that she has to be on the other side of the country, and as families are often separated by distance and miles. But we all want to launch our kids. And I think she was pretty happy that day Claire was getting launched to a wonderful husband, a wonderful man, a partner in life that is in the same field. So there's a lot of connection and a lot of union of happiness and joy and laughter, and also taking on life in a serious way where you're looking at how you build it. What are the pieces? What's it going to look like today? What do we want to get to tomorrow? And we want to have kids. So how's that going to work? But it's going to work. I mean, I'm sure tons of your viewers are saying, "Oh, yep, somehow they're still living. We got them out of the tree. They're fine."
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, no, everybody's crying at this table. That's it's the power of words. And no, it's amazing. It was a great time having everybody there that we care about at our wedding. And you definitely we're there because you're part of, I like to say, part of our family, really, because there's such a history there too. You probably welcomed me with open arms in one of my darkest moments, working at a TV station in Santa Barbara under some old management or ownership that may have not been the best for a working situation. And there were countless of times when I just felt like maybe I should just quit and get out of this and not deal with this anymore.
And then you came to help Rebecca Brandt over dinner with my son Landon, and you helped me launch my YouTube channel and helped me train my editing staff on the most efficient editing ways of that. And we would talk over dinner, and here we are talking over lunch. Remember that, Oscar?
Yep. The next one would be talking over breakfast.
But I got to come stay with you guys at your house in Los Angeles area.
Yeah, no, and that would be great. We're gonna have.
But yeah, so it was a dark time, and it was time for new situations, new endeavors, even with your job there. And you went into a different field. You left doing news filming.
Yeah, for the longest time, I mean, really, news was the only world that I knew. And then coming over to work for you in my spare time to help you launch this YouTube channel, it just made me realize that I'm worth so much more than just what the ownership at the station was telling me that I was. I mean, yeah.
And your listeners are saying, yes, keep talking about that, because I'm sure so many people are doing something they know they would be better at something else, or they can expand if they had the right opportunity. So how did that happen for you?
Yeah, well, there comes a point in life when you get not just a job, but a potential career. And, you have to start at the bottom. You have to pay your dues, as they say. But there's certain things that make it difficult for you, that devalue you as a person. And those moments happened to me working at KYT in Santa Barbara under, I believe it was Smith Media at that time. That was just a very dark time in my life, because what I was being told, what I was getting paid, everything I did not feel that I was a valued member of that TV family. But I had a passion for video and for news, and so I kept doing it and kept doing it. And then when I did something that was like in your case, working with you, there was totally something opposite of news, yet it was still doing video and editing and doing all that stuff. And just your compassion for people, and I mean, you treated us almost every day to a big, nice, fancy meal. It was you really, I think, set the bar for a lot of either creators or business people that hire other people to do work for them, because I think you really accentuated the worth of the person, and that made me just realize that I was worth so much more. So then I started working to climb up the ladder.
Wow.
And
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, I started as a news photographer, but at one point they had utilized me as an editor. And at the same time, there were cuts. So there was an option whether it was time for them to let me go, or if I was going to accept a pay cut. And I accepted the pay cut. And then,
isn't that a humbling experience?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's really hard. I would think most people would really have a hard time swallowing that. So how did you? What went through your head that you could accept that? Because that must have really been difficult emotionally. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was times when I felt that I was going to lose my job just because of the situations. And I was getting paid. I started out getting paid $11 an hour, which was less than what the other photographers were earning at the time. And when I found that out, I would ask for a raise, and I would always get denied. And then when the pay cuts happened, then I was making less than $11. It was like 10 something. And I still kept doing my job to the best of my abilities. And then I got hired full time, and they bumped it up to back to $11 an hour. So now they basically told me, okay, well, we're just giving you, since you're making 10 something due to the pay cuts, now we're just bumping that up to 11, so you get a raise. So they disguise that
Is that
as
supposed
a
to
raise.
be the happy moment?
I know, yeah, exactly. And I kept going and going. Luckily, there was a lot of people along the way that just were very good morale boosters. So I really do thank them for all that support. But yeah, there is a time when all of a sudden now I'm facing this opportunity with new ownership of whether I should stay as a news photographer or go into digital. And then digital, having worked for you, I've never really actually thought about digital as much as when I started working for you and doing your YouTube channel. And so when I had the opportunity to go into the digital side of things and news out of all things, because I love news, then I just kept thinking about my time back here with you, and I realized this is a great platform for so many other things. And so I just jumped at that opportunity. And so now I was making a little bit more money. But at some point, now that I was actually making some real money to at least get me through tough times, then I could focus on more of the editing and the creating aspect of digital. And I loved it so much that I just kept climbing and climbing until I received an opportunity to go to LA and do that. But I gotta say,
you were reaching out. You were
Yep.
entertaining opportunities. You were looking at the options. You were looking at the open windows and the corridor of opportunity. What's out there, and keeping your almost like an extra. Your extra energy, your extra mental thoughts were what might be there. I'm not saying you were hammering every door down, but you were open to those ideas.
Yeah, and I got to tell you that you actually were an inspiration to have me climb that ladder, if you will, because I always saw you as taking all these calculated risks, as some would say, because you don't know if it's going to pan out or not, but you do it so well. You do it. I mean, it's just your decisions to and things that you've accomplished through the decisions that you make really made me realize that I could do it too, that I could climb and look at the opportunities in front of me and decide what I could do. So you were definitely a big inspiration in doing that. And that's why I wanted you to be a guest here, because I wanted people to know that you have something that a lot of people don't have, and that's a driving force with the intelligence to create these great decisions that have gone really well for you.
Well, and the hundreds that didn't.
Yeah, true.
But the turtle never got anywhere without sticking its neck out first.
I love that.
So he may be going the wrong direction. No, turtle, don't go on that road, but he, so that's it. And that's cool, about the editing, because, nobody was doing YouTube back then, Oscar. I mean, it was just brand new, kind of, and here you were willing to do something that, like, well, okay, I know how to edit. I know how to put a news story together. Let's try something different. This is a recipe. And how can Rebecca do better with her setup and her situation in her garage, where we still live? Still a garage business. So, so that was really, really great to have, and you helped me forge forward, because you gave me the confidence that even though I don't know how to edit, I don't know how to turn on Final Cut Pro 7. Well, I can turn the computers on, but that's where I'm stuck. And to this day, I do not know. I can do iMovie, but I do not know those programs, because if I did, I would get lost in space of doing them. I realized my thing was marketing. My thing was cooking. My thing was other things. And editing wasn't really my thing. But to have people support me, so you can have your talents and you have other people support you. And being married, you have a heck of a lot of support. Each other supporting each other. That's a huge support in life that you will have as you are loving and good people. I know you're good people. So that's really incredible. because sometimes, as you know, Oscar, and I'm sure Claire knows, oh my gosh, it's like, I can't believe that this is what I have to do tomorrow, and I can't seem to do anything today, and yet tomorrow is supposed to be that day. And, that happens a lot. But we just get up the next day and we try to get a rest, or grab your latte. Let's have a double latte, whatever it is. And then the next day is always a different day. So somebody that could be listening to me right now, listening to us, listening to all of this, could think, I don't know how they do it. And this is not their day. Their day is listening, or their day is like, oh, wow, that's motivating. That's inspiring, because what you're doing is inspiring, Oscar. It inspires a lot of people. And this is what I think media is really for, is to inspire people to live a better life, even if it's more interesting, because they're having other ideas come at them wherever they are. And so the person listening right now could be thinking, I will never relate to that. I ain't no hangry Mexican, and I ain't no white bread chick in a kitchen making white bread. They're none of that. But I think the humanity, the heads, the thought processes, the struggles in life, they could be right now 7 years old in their kitchen going, well, thank God I don't have to grab a cookbook because we don't have books anymore, but I can hit a YouTube and learn how to make whatever. And I can listen to Oscar or see, or someone watching the news, whatever it is, to go have a better day, go forward, and create a better life that's more enriching. And I want to say this because this is something that's been very meaningful, and I haven't said it, but it came to mind about our listeners here. I had nothing but fumes to live on. Some of the time with raising my kids, we had nothing. We were borrowing money to get by. But I knew I could make a 5-star dinner off of nothing. I learned how to make a $5 bread maker from this thrift store and do a 40-cent loaf of bread, because I could buy the Costco $7 thing of flour and the Costco $3 yeast that will last. And that would make, and then it's just oil and sugar and salt. And I could make that bread, fresh bread, every day for my children with a 25-cent thing of butter, because actually butter's like 50 cents in a cube. So we just a little cube. That, and then we'd have our chicken on sale at 69 cents a pound, and we would have some cheap vegetable, whatever was on sale. And that was an incredible dinner that I learned to make fast, but it was a very healthy meal, and it was cheaper than a $5 bag of chips. And they had all of that. And that's what anybody can do. Anybody can do what I do. And it's a 5-star life at a 0-star budget. So
that's why everybody has to go.
Forget that sous vide. I mean, that's $79 or whatever it is. I mean, even though it's great. So I don't want to push,
Yeah, no, totally understand. Yeah, there's people out there that can afford all these cool things, gadgets and whatnot, and top-notch ingredients or whatever.
You need something hot. I've cooked 35 recipes with an iron for Adult Swim with an iron. I cooked General Chow's Panda King chicken with, I know we're getting over time here, but I've cooked it with an iron. I've cooked ribeye with an iron. Flat iron steak's really easy with an iron. It's anything. Chicken, pound your chicken, cook it with an iron. You don't even need a kitchen. You need something hot to cook, and a knife and a spoon, and sometimes a bowl. That's it. Foil works as a bowl.
How did the idea of cooking with an iron come about?
I got a call. Somehow I did fish tacos. No, it hadn't happened yet. Somehow I made some algorithm, and all these people, Conan O'Brien, James Coburn, Tosh Point oh, whatever, all these people were calling me to do an interview with me. All of a sudden, in 1 week, I got 5 or 6 calls, and they said for James Coburn, how would you do this? And I'm thinking, I need a kitchen. I'm going, Tasty Studios is right down the street. We can go over there. I know the people over there. And then I said, I'm such a fool. I got off the phone. I said, I can cook with an iron. And so I immediately write the guy back. I said, set the cameras up. And I made Velveeta quesadillas, because I just did a Velveeta commercial with an iron. And I was laughing. I go, kids, don't do this. Well, I go, do this at home, but hide in your bedroom because if your mom sees it, she's going to yell at you. And I'm dying laughing through every step of it. That got on the algorithm. That went viral overnight. And then a week later, I go down to the harbor. I'm making fish tacos with an iron. And it was golden with our local fishermen. And I said, I just got to do this. I brought the film crew out, and that went viral. And then Adult Swim called me and hired me for 35 episodes of cooking with an iron. And since then, I've had shows with Adult Swim, Turner Broadcasting, which is comedy. It's not porn. People think Adult Swim means porn. It's not porn. It's not porn. Sorry to disappoint you. It's comedy.
Oh, man.
And you can see Iron Cook on Rebecca Brand YouTube channel. Just go Rebecca Brand Iron Cook, and there's 35 crazy episodes of me and my goldfish that are hunting for love, and we're single. We just don't know why we can't get married like Clara and Oscar, because we do everything we can, and we try to be good people on the planet, and it just doesn't ever work out.
So I just very delicious lunch, by the way. I ate as much as I could, and very delicious.
Okay, but now it's time for cake.
Oh, that's right. Well,
I'm getting it.
All right, Rebecca just stepped out. She's gonna go get dessert.
Just have a bite on camera, on podcast.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
It is a cake where the recipe went all wrong. We didn't understand. There might have been lack of moisture. I don't know. I just didn't read the directions well. It was a box cake. And then I made the whipped cream. The chocolate filling, which is cream and butter and Hershey's. But somehow it curdled. So then I tried to dress it up with some Hershey's syrup, powdered sugar, and I don't know. It's just all about how it tastes sometimes, and that's what we have here. And I should have taken a picture. I'm going to take a picture because that's the crazy cake I made.
Ooh, it's really tasty.
Do you like it?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like a molten chocolate.
It's warm out of the oven. Okay, so
Wow.
it's the flavor. See, that's what you do. You just pretend it didn't happen like that.
Chocolate cake.
Okay.
Ooh, it's very delicious.
All right. You know.
It almost looks like a Sloppy Joe's, if you were to compare to that. It's like it almost looks like two buns and then
A hamburger.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hamburger cake.
Yeah,
We've got a new name of a cake, hamburger cake.
but it's so delicious, chocolatey goodness.
Okay, sorry I interrupted you. You were saying something.
No problem. So I always like to end the podcast with one last question, and it's usually the pet peeve of that person. So I want to know.
Gosh.
I want to know what Rebecca Brand's pet peeve or peeves are.
Oh my gosh. Now, that's the one that's hard to answer. Pet peeve. What's a pet peeve? How I like my latte. I cannot have regular coffee anymore. I hate drip coffee. In the morning, I want a latte with milk that's been whipped with a frother. And I want an espresso underneath, and I want my raw sugar. That is my formula. Everybody has coffee their own way. That's my formula. And if that kind of messes my day up, if I don't have that. But is that a pet peeve? Drivers that are driving crappy. I don't know. That's like...
No, that's totally fine.
Drivers are driving crappy, but we all have that.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to think of something original.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Well, I keep telling everybody that asks me that question that I have many, but just trying to hold a conversation with somebody that's trying to conversate with me, and I'm just hangry. I'm just so hungry that it starts annoying me. So that's probably
don't
something.
Get between you and the buffet line at a party and start talking to you.
Exactly. It's like, okay, can I get my food first and then we can talk? Luckily there hasn't been that many times that's happened, but that's just one of them. I have several other ones, like obviously like people that cut people off. Oh, here's one that I haven't told yet. And I've experienced it lately too, a lot more often than when I was living here in Santa Barbara. But when drivers go into your lane without turning the turn signal.
Okay.
Yeah, they're so close to you, and they just get into your lane. They veer into your traffic lane.
Because in Los Angeles, you learn, and I'll give you this tip. I learned in my 20s in Los Angeles, when you turn your turn signal on, now you're going to have a lot of LA drivers listen to this, and I hope there's a way they can engage with you because I need to take a poll on this. My theory, my experience is, whenever I've tried to be the good person in life, I turn my turn signal on, especially like the Haskell or Balboa, and you're trying to get to the 405 and get in that right lane to get so you can merge onto a freeway you've got to be on. And it's critical. You start doing it for a mile, and those cars get tighter. Those cars get tighter. They're not going to let you in. They say, forget it. She can go in the one behind me. This is what I see. So I don't do that anymore. I just see my opportunity and I wedge it. I admit. So, but does it work for you? I mean, when you turn your turn, did they let you in, Oscar?
Well, I mean, I kind of turn it as I'm doing it. So
that's a good compromise.
Yeah. Well, I turn my turn signal, but no, thank you for being on this podcast. And thank you again for the amazing lunch and dessert that you got us here. Thanks, Rebecca.
I'm so happy to be your guest. Thank you for having me on, Oscar. I really appreciate it.
Once again, that was Rebecca Brand. You can follow her on social media. Just look for Rebecca Brand or Rebecca Brand Recipes. She's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, YouTube. Again, just follow her by searching Rebecca Brand or Rebecca Brand Recipes. I'm telling you, you're going to love her videos. That's one of the reasons why she's as successful as she is. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And I really want to thank Rebecca again for allowing us into her lovely home. And not only that, but going the extra mile and actually cooking us an entire meal. And this wasn't store-bought food or anything. This was made from scratch food. And it was amazing. It was delicious. She didn't have to do this, and she did. And this is a reason why Claire and I just love her. She goes the extra mile. All right. Well, if you have any questions or comments, please send them to Hangry Mexican Podcast at gmail.com. I would love to feature some of those comments or questions in the next episode. So be sure to do that. Again, that's Hangry Mexican Podcast at gmail.com. And if you love this episode, if you like this podcast, I want to have you show your support by liking it, subscribing to it, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody about this podcast, and rate it, like it, comment on it. I would just love to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions on what other topics you'd like to discuss, let me know. Again, send them to Hangry Mexican Podcast at gmail.com. Thanks everybody for listening. And until next time, good night and good luck.